Welcome, everybody. Today is Tuesday's Thoughts. My name is Steve Hogger. I'm the pastor of Hickory Hill Baptist Church. I thought I would just kind of sit in my truck today and kind of give you my thoughts. I've been turkey hunting the past week and a half, so it's in between the season here. And I want to on Tuesday Thoughts, I want to kind of give you some turkey talk. And what I want to do is this Tuesday and then the next Tuesday, we'll kind of continue this. But this is going to be part one of part two. I'm trying to make this kind of short. But a gobbler has really three things on his mind. One is, call them three W's. One is what he wants to eat. The second thing is what will eat him. And the third one is, where can I find a girlfriend? And those are the kind of three things he thinks about. And as I'm sitting in my truck, I wish I'd got a little pebble, but a gobbler's size of his brain is a little bitty, about the size of a pea. Now, the size of a human brain is about, 15 centimeters, so I think it's about 6 inches, and it weighs about 3 pounds. And why I bring this up is because my son, we went turkey hunting like last week, and he said, I don't know how these birds have such a small brain, can always whip us. Well, there's some positive and negatives to turkeys. And today I want to look at three negatives and maybe put some spiritual truth with them to help us be better followers of Jesus Christ. I haven't got my turkey yet. And probably because I'm not a very good turkey hunter. I'm just going to be confessed to you. So as I share this with you, you may realize I'm not a good turkey hunter, but I like to be outside. I like to go. So here's three negatives about a turkey. First is his pride. When I talk about a turkey's pride, I'm talking about that he likes to strut. He likes to show off. You'll see him in the field all puffed up and ready to go, and he's all excited, and he lets people know who he is, and he lets people know that he's a big deal. So his pride. He walks around and just struts in the field. Just looking at the book of Proverbs, guys, it talks a lot about pride. Proverbs 16:5 says, "The Lord detests all the proud heart. Be sure of this, they will not go unpunished." And then Proverbs 16:18, "Pride goes before the destruction, a haughty spirit before the fall. And a man's pride brings him low, but a man lowly spirit gains honor." That's Proverbs 29:23. Pride is all about I. I am number one. And when a gobbler is strutting in the field, he's saying, I'm number one. Look at me. See who I am. When I gets involved, guys, trouble comes sooner or later. So one of the downfalls of a gobbler, and many times of us, is our pride gets in the way. The gobbler is like showing off during his strutting. And this is a downfall, or a negative, you can say. All right, number two is his fleshly desires. One thing that a gobbler thinks about every spring is, where can he find a girlfriend that day? So gobbler's desire is to find that girlfriend. Gobbler will call out to a hen, say, "Here I am, you want to go out on a date." If a hunter knows of this, he will call the hen. Hen calls and try to get the gobbler to answer and get him to come in. And many times that gobbler will hear the hunter and do the hen call, and sometimes he may just come running in, and he may end up in the back of the pickup at the end result. It's the same with you and me. Our fleshly desires, when we submit to the sinful desires, then it causes a problem. It causes some pain for us and for our loved ones. In James, it says this, in James 1:14, "But each one is tempted when by his own evil desires he is dragged away and enticed. Then after the desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death." Our desires, our fleshly desires, lead us to sin. And then that sin will cause a death, a relationship affected. It could cause a physical death, but also it affects our relationship with God. It destroys our relationship with God. Also, Paul says in Romans 6:12, Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body, so that you will obey its evil desires. And then Romans 8:5. Those who live according to sinful nature have their minds set on what that nature desires. But those who live according to the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind of the sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. The mind of the sinful man is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. Our fleshly desires are hostile, it is enemy toward God. We submit to our fleshly desires, then we can't please God with our life. The last verse I want to share with you about these fleshly desires is found in 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For everything in the world, the cravings of the sinful man, the lust of his eyes, the boasting of what he has and does, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but the man who does the will of God lives forever. In the end, like the gobbler, living out his fleshly desires, trying to find that girlfriend, it gets him in trouble. In the same way with us, our fleshly desires and submitting to those fleshly desires causes us trouble. The same principle. We can't be a good follower of Jesus Christ when we constantly submit to our fleshly desires. And number 3, the third negative you can say of a gobbler is his lack of self-control. And I know what you're thinking, well, shouldn't that be under the fleshly desires? It can be under the fleshly desires, but I want you to understand, a gobbler sometimes that has no self-control. You know, an owl could hoot, a crow could, whatever they do, whatever they do. A truck could go by, a truck door could shut. I've seen gobblers gobble when a truck goes over a logging bridge, and they hear the noise and they just suddenly gobble. So more of a shock gobble. So whenever they hear a loud noise, sometimes they'll just gobble. And that gives the location of where that gobbler is. So they need to have self-control to be able to live a little longer, you could say. As a believer, we must show self-control. In fact, it's one of the fruits of the Spirit found in Galatians chapter 5. Proverbs 25:28. Listen to this. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. Think about this proverb for a second, guys. Why does a city have walls? It's for protection. And if a city doesn't have walls, then people just walk in and take control. So a man is like a city without walls, is a man who has no self-control. I've seen in myself, I've seen in my family that lost control, breaking or denting things that they'll see the rest of their life. The house that we're living in now, that we moved in here and I finally got all the holes patched up, but there were some holes in the sheetrock. Probably, it was about the size of a fist, I would assume. And I would imagine the former people that lived there, they may got upset and they punched the wall. Luckily, they didn't hit a stud, but they got upset, and they probably had to see that hole every day. The gobbler that shocks gobbles. Every time they hear a loud noise or whatever noise they hear, and they gobble, gives their location away. And that lack of self-control could put that gobbler in the back of a truck. All right, then Titus 1:8 says, rather he must be hostile, one who loves what is good, who is self-controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. So today, we're talking about Tuesday's thoughts, and we're talking about the negative sides of a gobbler. Next Tuesday, we're going to go over the positive side. Why it is so hard to kill a pea-side brain gobbler that I have such a hard time right now trying to kill. Maybe next week I'll have one. So what are the negatives again that we learn from the gobbler? Some things that we can take home. 1, pride causes downfall. Stop worrying about I and start focusing on other people. Number 2, giving into your fleshly desires causes sin, and that sin causes death. And number 3, lack of self-control, it will cost you. It could cost you a lot. Folks, these are the attributes of a gobbler that'll cost him. They give him a free ride in the back of a pickup. They are negative. And folks, maybe we want to spend some time in thinking about these three things and work on these three things this next week. And Tuesday, I'll examine some positive things. Why gobbler's so hard to kill, and why this pea-sized brain critter outdoes me many times. Hey, I love you. Again, this is Steve Hoggard from pastor of Hickory Hill Baptist Church, and glad you could spend Tuesday's thoughts with me. Have a good day.